We recently went to Auckland Cranes Depot in Manukau to take a look at their Demag crane. The people at Auckland Cranes are pretty passionate about what they do, and they even have crane models in the office. Bushy, our host, has been with the company for 40 years, and even his childhood crane is on show. So let's have a look at this enormous Demag. So that's a Demag, Bushy.
Yeah, a Demag AC350.
The size of it. And how high up does that boom go?
It goes to 50 something metres.
Just a bit about Demag. Demag started in Germany in the early 20th century and was the abbreviated name of a German engineering company that started it. In 1908, they designed what was then the largest floating crane that went on to be used in the building of RMS Olympic and the famous RMS Titanic. One interesting aspect of cranes such as this one is their ability to crab sideways. Sometimes they arrive on a site with limited access, and this ability can be useful in getting them into position so they can do what they do. We'll talk to one of the drivers about this aspect shortly, but I just think this is absolutely amazing. All the wheels turn except the fourth axle, which they lift so it doesn't scuff, and then they can just put themselves into position, ready to go to work. Absolutely amazing. The next stage of the process is to put these ground supports under each of the four stabilizers so the crane can be lifted and balanced so it's completely level. The stabilizers have been placed on the crane at the manufacturing process and are placed to ensure that the weight of the crane is distributed evenly. These stabilizers also need to take the full weight of whatever the crane's lifting, and in this case that's 350 tonne. There's the crane driver who's responsible for the crane, then there are the dogmen and riggers who are responsible for the load the crane's going to lift. So the extra men assisting here are the dogmen. Once the pads have been placed, the crane driver will power down the stabilizer feet, which will lift the wheels off the ground. Once he's happy the crane's level, he'll climb up into the cab to get ready to lift the jib to get ready for the lift. How many levers does it require to do what he's doing? Just one?
Just two. But you change the controls. You change them for different functions.
Okay, yep. So one button does all for it.
Sort of, one, yeah. Right. So there are four positions.
Right.
Levers.
So he's got one hand on the left, one hand on the right.
Yeah, so one's slowing.
Yes.
One's luffing the boom back and,
yes.
And he's bringing the hook down. So he's doing three functions at once.
And his brain's got to think like that.
Yeah, it just comes naturally.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you were saying at the moment it can lift 10 tonne?
No, 20 tonne at the moment.
Right.
26, there you go.
26 tonne?
Yeah.
Just with one strand?
Yeah, with twice once around the hook with what we call 2 parts. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't deal with these cranes very much.
No.
So I generally stick with the precast concrete. So some of my facts aren't correct on this crane.
Fair enough.
And how much do you stick on the back of it, Dan?
142.
So
122 tonne.
142 tonne goes on the back of the crane.
And it just, I see where those holes are, so that they just bolt them in here.
Yeah.
Places them up on those red lugs.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, right.
So that stacks up quite high, about 5 metres high, doesn't it?
Oh, God.
And then the crane swings around and a big set of hydraulic rams push the counterweight up onto the back of the crane.
Wow. So in the normal circumstances, if he's working where he can't see anybody, he's got a radio in his ear.
Yes, yep. So that's quite common.
Wow.
A lot of their work is blind.
Totally relying on somebody else's eyes.
All the cream sections you see over there,
Yep.
they're all the additional pieces you can put on top of this crane.
So it goes higher still.
Yeah. So this has 54 metres, and what can you put on it, Harry? Another 72 metres.
72 metres. Wow.
And then it has other attachments to, because it's a bit like your fishing rod,
Yes.
a crane boom where they bend.
Oh, do they?
So you can put an attachment on the rear of it to stiffen the boom up to take that bend out of it.
Wow. It's amazing that all that steel can bend.
Yep. Well, it's because it's a multi-stage boom. You get a little bit at each. See the square holes in the boom?
Yep.
It has a single hydraulic ram inside the boom. And then so it pushes one section out, and then there are pins that go out into those square holes and locks it there, and then it disconnects the ram and then sucks the ram back in and then grabs the next section and then pushes that one out. So there's only one ram that does all that work inside the boom. Now the computer's disconnecting the ram at the bottom.
Okay.
And he'll squirt the ram right back out again, and it'll lock onto the base of the next section.
How do you inspect that?
They can climb in there.
Really?
Yeah. Find the youngest, skinniest character, and he comes out like a greased sausage. But
Wow, that's unbelievable.
yeah.
Tadano have been building cranes since 1956. Tadano is the name in mobile cranes, from 2-axle to 7-axle cranes as well as track cranes. Tadano, a great choice of crane. So if you're looking for a crane, why not choose Tadano? Tried and true. To find out more, just go to allcrane.co.nz. Fassi, an extraordinary crane. So if you need a crane fitted to your truck, either behind the cab or on the back, then Fassi is the crane you need. Fassi can load your truck and trailer as well as unload them. A versatile crane that saves time and money. So to find out about getting your Fassi crane, just call All Crane on 0800 All Crane or check out their webpage at www.allcrane.co.nz. With me is Tim Elliott from Kepler Motors in Hamilton, and good on you,
Good to see
Tim.
you.
Maybe tell us a little bit about the vehicles you sell.
Right, well, we've got an absolutely amazing range from the GWM Havel product lineup. We start with a small SUV with the Jolian, and we start from that at $27,990 plus on-road costs. We then go through that range. We have 3 models in the Jolian range. We then go into the H6, which is the next size up, your mid-size SUV, and that we actually have 5 models in that range.
Wow.
Yeah, starting from $33,990.
Yeah.
So when you look at the value for money in our range, and we even have right through to a hybrid like our new car behind me here, as well as the SUVs, we have a stunning lineup of the GWM Cannon, which is New Zealand Autocar Magazine's Ute of the Year for 2020.
Wow.
Not only has it come up Ute of the Year because of its build quality, ride quality and safety, now 5-star safety rating in 2021, it is an absolutely amazing package. You don't get the harsh ride that you traditionally get in a ute, but you get all the safety and benefit of having 3-ton towing capacity, up to a ton payload in the back, but also room for your guests in the back of the vehicle if you're taking a few along with you.
With a bit of legroom.
With a bit of legroom and vents in the back so they have actually get a bit of fresh air as well.
Well, that's marvellous. Get hold of Tim and I'm sure he'll look after you.
Look forward to hearing from you.
So to prepare for a lift, you have to take all this time into consideration.
Yes. Yep.
So you've got an average of 15 minutes, something like that, before even looking at putting
This could be up to 2 hours before we,
actually lift.
by the time we travel to site, and then an hour and a half to load the counterweights onto the crane before you're ready to lift.
Yep.
Yeah.
See the little squares, folks. And the little, is that a cable?
Yeah, which is telling the computer the boom lengths,
Oh, okay.
and also it's has wind detection gear. Also, all this the extra auxiliary gear that goes on top of it. All that gets monitored through that cable.
So it's disconnected and it's off on its way to get the last one. And
Yeah,
bring it
so
back down again.
it's sucking the ram back in now. Extending it back out, sorry. Yeah.
And is the crane called Popeye? Do I see Popeye
Yeah, they've all got,
little names?
yeah, they all have their little cartoon characters, and so do the operators have their characters too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So somebody was saying there Mercedes engines in the crane and the truck.
Yeah. This is a 100-tonner coming back, one of those trucks that came in before.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
100-tonner. You can tell by the size of the jib, really.
Yeah, there's a big difference, isn't
Yeah,
there?
absolutely. There you go. He's got the last one, bringing it down. And so is that a wire rope, or is it like a power line?
No, it's like a power cable, multi-core cable.
Right.
So it's doing a lot of different functions.
And that's the little control box sitting beside it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the rollers are some sort of plastic?
Yeah, they're nylon. Yeah.
Nylon, yeah.
I couldn't tell you exactly what they're made of.
No. That's just smooth running of the wire.
Yeah. And it's a weight saving as well.
Right. Do you charge by the hour or the minute or the day or the...
It varies, usually by the hour or the day. Yeah. So I do all contract work, so mine's by the day or the week. Sort of thing.
Right. And so that's paying for the crane and an operator, or can they
Yes.
supply their own operator?
No, crane and operator. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so you can lift anything from a swimming pool into somebody's backyard?
We do a lot of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of swimming pools. Yeah. With these type of cranes here. So no outriggers or anything. They're what's called a pick and carry crane. So they, yeah.
Oh, so I'm pretty sure there was, back in my day, there was something like this on the wharf.
Yes.
Little crane
Yep.
on it, very
Yeah.
similar.
The little Coles cranes on the wharf. Yeah.
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 And that was the day when you had to sort of call in and find a tally man to check off what you've got, and then you had to find a forklift driver, which was even harder.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to bribe him with a box of beer or something to get him to put. Do you know how much that weighs on the ground?
In the region of 72 tonne. So it's between 12 and 13 tonne an axle, whereas a normal truck going down the road's about 8.5 tonne per axle.
Where do they put those?
They go on the back of the crane.
Oh, right.
So normally these cranes have a forklift.
Yep.
And they have big steel pads that they stick out.
Right. So they're rounds of concrete.
Yeah. No, these are plastic, these things.
Oh really? They look like
So
concrete.
This is 130 coming home.
Got that down pat, haven't you?
Yeah, they're pretty slick, these guys. Two of them are waiting for the word to go out to the work all night on the port. Take the big crane out. We haven't heard yet.
I hear the port's having a bit of trouble with their cranes.
They sure are.
Tell me what's it like being on the wrong side? You're 3 metres on the wrong side.
I think it's actually better.
Really?
Yeah, because you can judge your distances off the side of the road, off parked cars,
Oh, right.
barriers, etc.
So
A little
you're
bit easier
Right there.
than if I imagine if we're on the other side of the crane.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd.
You have to judge it.
Yeah, you would have to judge it a lot more.
Yeah, fair enough. So, would you pass much? I guess if traffic jam.
Stationary.
Yeah.
Stationary things you'd pass, but that's about it.
Okay. Right. Certainly, sort of like sitting here, sitting across the other side.
Yeah, it is a bit of a different feeling than a standard car.
Sure. And having that big hook stuck out in front of you, is that sort of...
It's not too bad.
When you first got it, you just sort of think, oh.
Yeah, a little bit. The first crane I drove was a Brenner.
Oh, okay.
So sort of used to things sticking out the front. It was a little bit...
That's one enormous hook. And
It is.
the rest of it, it's just...
It is.
But after a while, you just know it's there, you just get on with it.
Yeah, the first 6-axle crane I drove felt very daunting. It just seemed so much longer and wider than anything else.
So if you're coming up behind the bus, you'd have to be careful with it.
Yeah, you learn to stop.
I know some of the Kenworths we used to film, it's got this enormous bonnet, and I stood in front of a bonnet and I walked back, I think it was 10 metres before the driver could see me.
Big blind spot? Yeah. That's not nearly as bad with these, which is fortunate. The most of the blind spots are either down the side of your windows, fogged, or at the back.
These tyres are huge, do you know what one costs?
More than I earn a week. I've heard various rumours of 6,000, but that was quite some time ago. I'm sure they're
gone up a bit since like everything else.
You tend to be very careful of what you drive over or around or past.
Yeah.
Try not to scuff them on too much.
So when you crab, all the wheels except the number 4, they all turn. And how can you almost go sideways?
Essentially, it's only just over the length of the crane to park in, and you have to jiggle backwards and forwards. I once did a keel for an America's Cup boat in Bowden's in Mount Wellington, and you had to drive in the building and then zigzag your way across to get into position behind the milling machine. So stuff like that.
So it was just a plain drive, it was practically impossible to do that.
Oh no, it was inside the building. So yeah,
Limited room.
limited room. It makes them a lot more manoeuvrable than the first big cranes used to be.
So thanks very much. We'll see you again soon. Well, there you go, folks. This is a Demag crane. If you're looking for a crane, there's the website to go to. Talk to Mike Morris, and we'll see you around. Demag stands for uncompromising quality. As one of the world's leading manufacturers of high performance and reliable industrial cranes, crane components and drives, we offer our customers a comprehensive range of smart solutions for their material flow and logistic needs. Our name is synonymous with maximum safety, reliability and innovation. We provide our customers with smooth processes, maximum efficiency and best results. So, want to find out more? Just call All Crane on 0800 All Crane or check out their webpage www.allcrane.co.nz. The Gecko Mini Crane without riggers, designed to get into small areas and confined places like stairs, passageways, things like that. Because they don't have a huge setup time, this saves money and time. Gecko, the crane that does all those little jobs in tight places. For more information, check out www.allcrane.co.nz. The crane's called a Potane.
Potane?
Potane.
Yep, Potane HD40. So it's a 4-ton self-erecting tower crane.
So it means it sort of folds itself all over when you're ready for it. It just opens itself up and that's the way it goes. We saw a Potane on the wharf in Napier.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
it was lifting fish out of holds and things, but it
Oh,
was
right.
the oddest looking thing you'd ever seen.
Yeah, right.
So Dave, just tell me what I'm looking at here. There's a winch drum.
Yep.
And then there's an electric motor. Obviously this thing runs by power.
Yep.
And that controls the winch drum, and the remote controls it going up and down. So that rope goes up the centre.
Yep.
To a pulley up the top and then out to the hook.
Yep.
That seems
And then it has a trolley that runs up and down the actual jib.
Oh, okay.
And then down the bottom here we've got a slew motor.
Yep.
That controls the slew of the crane.
Right.
So all of those functions are on the remote.
So that's just like sitting in the cab of something, you know, a tower crane, left, right, up, down.
Yep.
The remotes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The new ones, because the last job I was at, the guy lost it. So
What Dave and his team are actually doing is teaching crane operators who will need a specific ticket on how to operate this crane and showing them how the remote works.
well, the crane should, if you're leaving it on.
Dave, do you put that together on the ground?
So this particular self-erector comes in on the back of one of our transporters,
Yes.
and then we use a mobile crane. On this job we use the 100-ton mobile crane
Yes.
to lift it into place. Once it's lifted into place, we install the counterweight on the back, and then she's folded out.
Right. So that'll sort of come over the top. So there's only one move or two moves. So it goes like that and then like that.
Yeah, so two moves. So the jib itself right now is at 14 metres,
Yep.
which is how it's stowed or weather vaned.
Yep.
And then the next section is 27 metres,
Yep.
and the next section takes it out to 35 metres.
Right.
So the crane can be operated in either one of these configurations, but for this site it's made up to work at 35.
Oh, okay.
Familiarisation for the guys, education, and so we can document that they know how to
Right.
set the crane up and pack it up.
So are they professional riggers?
So yeah, crane operators. So you have to have a self-erector ticket to operate this one.
Yeah. I see the hook sort of moving there, and that hook is on a trolley. So the trolley runs the whole length of what it's on.
Yeah, yeah, and that can be adjusted depending on how much jib's on the crane.
Yep. So it's extending out the next piece.
Yep, so the operator's controlling that on the lever.
And it seems to me everything in the crane world is done nice and slow. No room for error, or you know, go to like a bat out of hell, something's going to break.
Exactly, yeah. So it's very high risk industry, so we take every precaution possible.
How long have you been doing this, Dave?
I've been around cranes about 13 years.
13 years.
Yep.
Wow. So your family's like it's a family tradition? Your father was a crane operator?
No, just me. I started life as a concreter and realised that there was easier ways to make money. And yeah, moved over to dogging and rigging and somehow ended up in the office.
Oh, okay. So what's your title?
Projects and precast supervisor.
Oh, okay, right.
Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. So it's just amazing that amount of concrete sitting on the back of that crane quite close to it.
Yep.
Is enough to sort of balance the thing?
Yeah.
Wow. So we're coming up to the last bit now, Dave. How long is that little end bit there?
So in total it'll make the jib 35 metres.
Oh, okay. And this project, I think, is for water care. They're building a new reservoir or something. It requires a great big hole.
Yeah, so water care. Auckland Cranes were engaged to provide lifting services for the structural steel and pumps and things like that to go into the hole.
Right.
I think the duration for us was about 9 months.
Wow. So it's certainly stretching out a long way from where we are.
Yeah, so if you imagine all deliveries for the site will come in
right at the end there.
In the end there.
Yep.
And everything will be lifted into the hole. But you can now see why we have to fold it every night. If that was left to weather vane, it should be straight into that tree or over the neighbour's property.
Yeah.
Mike, can you run the hook out and drop it down? Yeah.
Well, what a fantastic piece of equipment behind me. Just a little stick and it goes out 34 metres and then drops the hook, picks something up, and all these guys here have just learned how to drive it, which is absolutely wonderful. It's great to have crane operators. And David.
Cheers, Bill.
Thank you very much. You're a great teacher, a great learner.
Thank you.
All the best. All the best. And good on you. So there you go, folks. Next week, more cranes.